Hello and welcome to the Temple of Tomes with your host, Indie Comics Jones. Today is May 5th, 2021. May the 5th be with you, or Cinco de Mayo, whichever one you are currently celebrating. This is episode 285. Today we're looking at Heroes Reborn. This is the #1 issue coming out from Marvel. It came in at $5.99, I believe, all issues. Maybe $4.99. I did get the variant issue. I did have the store set this one aside because it does have the Artgerm variant cover here, and I'm giving this cover Indie Comics Jones good excavating seal of approval. However, just the cover. So let's get into this a little bit. What we have on the cover here is kind of the Marvel's version of Wonder Woman. And I cannot remember what they call her in this, but obviously she's dressed a lot like Wonder Woman. And she's got kind of Captain America's shield here and appears to be translucent or perhaps even invisible. They don't go into it too much in this particular comic. But it is a beautiful picture. Artgerm did a nice job. Let's take a look to see who worked on this comic before I bash it. Whatever happened to Earth's Mightiest Heroes? That's the mystery in this. Jason Aaron's is the writer. I have reviewed something by him before. I believe it was The Virgin Brides. I think that was an Image comic, and I did not like it. I did not like the characters in it at all. So that was a not recommended in that one. Jason writes pretty well, but I just didn't care for the storyline. And same in this one. Ed McGuinness is the penciler. Mark Morales is the inker. Matthew Wilson is the colorist. And VC's Corey Pettit was the letterer. Okay. And I just want to mention, I did look at other people's reviews on this before I did this one. And most people really liked this comic. I got Fortress of Solitude liked it. I actually loved it. Zia Comics liked it. Caped Joel liked it. Comic Breakdown liked it. Comics Explained liked it. Now, the last two people that I checked out, two reviews, they didn't like it. It was Chillmonger didn't like it. And Hayden Claire Heroes is not going for it. She thought it was too big of an event for what they're showing here. And I can agree with that sentiment as well. Now, I can see why people would like this just because there is a lot of character action or character appearances in here, and there's variants on these characters. So that might be a big deal. It is I should say, alternate universe, and you're dealing with that as well. Something has happened, and Blade has woken up to find that the current Avengers are no longer around, and so he's going to set out to find him. And our Agent Coulson is actually running for president. I do believe this was made under the assumption that Trump was going to be president again. There's just these little hints of things in here that kind of lean that way politically. So we have Robbie Rodriguez, is that what his name is? The latest variant of the Ghost Rider, who's not the Ghost Rider. So he's going to find out all these people aren't who they should be. And that's kind of what the whole comics goes through. In the meantime, we see I believe it's the Supreme Squadron, something like that, who is taking up the mantle of the Avengers. And they all look like DC characters. And we'll go through that a little bit here. The villains in here are fairly recognizable. They are Marvel villains, but they seem to also have taken on the characteristics of another one. For instance, we have Doctor Doom. He's got some kind of jewel with him that turns him into Dr. Juggernaut, and he's going crazy here with his newfound skills. And the only person that can stop him is Hyperion, and Hyperion is Marvel's version of Superman. So they're at Washington, D.C. at the White House. duking it out. There's things going on all over the world, and it's apparently some kind of plot. That's what Blade is thinking. So they're duking it out a little bit. Nothing really too great there. Then we get an ad for Adventure Academy, ages 8 to 13. Next up, after Hyperion is starting to really beat the heck out of Dr. Juggernaut, we have Nightwing, which is a black version of Batman, and Marvel's version of Batman. And he's also the smartest smartest in the world, I guess, which we find out later in this book. And he's taking on the Black Skull, who's obviously looks like maybe has some venom in him. And he's got his henchmen back here all shooting for Nighthawk. So then we switch over and we've got, oh boy, what's this guy's name? Spectrum, who not only is a lot like Green Lantern, but his uniform is like the rainbow, just like a spectrum. So it could be considered part of like the Asgard Biofrost, or it could be like the rainbow used for political reasons. I don't know. And then we see Tony Stark here. He's just a regular civilian, not doing anything. Blade comes across a statue that has of Captain America. Apparently he has not been found, so he is just being honored for his service in the past there. Then we get the flashlight character. I believe he's called Blur. I'm not quite sure if they give him a name here. Yeah, Blur. And Scarlet Witch is after her brother, boy, I can't think of what his name is, the super fast guy, Quicksilver, has perished. She has taken on his powers too, so she's really fast now, as well as being able to do these spells, 1,000 spells per second apparently. But she is the villain, and Blur is the hero here. At least we think they're the hero. So I guess that's the whole thing here. And then we have, I'm not sure if they give her a name, but we have Algrog, who's Spider-Man's, what do you want to call him? Spider-Man's pet. And it looks like he's wearing perhaps, I don't know, is it Thor's armor? Or I'm not sure what's going on with him. But he's fighting the Wonder Woman character. I don't know if she is introduced at all. Doesn't appear that she is, but it is supposed to be Wonder Woman, a knockoff. And then we have Spectrum fighting Thanos, but he has got kind of these weird, he's got rings instead of the stones, the Infinity Stones. So the whole thing is, I don't know, it's a little bit dry. So they do have a lot of action, but it really doesn't progress anything more than just introducing these characters, and that they're all in conflict all at the same time. Now we do get an introduction to who is Warbird, and it appears to be that she is the first black superhero with wings. That would be my guess. Okay. At least that's probably what they're going to tout it as. Then Kelly Thompson gets yet another write-up. And then we have our Thanos here with his rings of power. He has the infinity rings, so whatever that means. And we have good old Blade. They should have really expanded his role, but he's leaving Washington, D.C., can't believe what's happening. And he's on his way to Norway to find Thor. Thor, who has never found the hammer. So he's just this guy that gets drunk all the time. So we've got that going on. And he's arguing with him, and Blade's trying to convince him, you're Thor, you know, you're great. And all Thor does is kind of puke at his feet as Blade kind of walks off solemnly. So we go back to Blade going back, I should say, to Washington, D.C. to help Nighthawk out. So we got the two guys here fighting back to back. Of course, Nighthawk thinks he's an enemy. He says, "Not, I'm not your enemy. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here." And so he helps Nighthawk a bit, take down all these characters. They argue a bit, and suddenly Nighthawk is just gone. And but it appears that Nighthawk knows he's Blade, so Blade knows there's something going on just from that one clue. And then we've got, this is President Coulson. Looks kind of like Dexter, but let's see, as we got Hyperion and Dr. Juggernaut still duking it out. And then we get this montage of everybody. And it appears that Black Skull has been taken down by Nighthawk at the end. It seems like all of them are going to be victorious in the end. Meanwhile, Blade goes off to a chasm up in the Antarctic. He's still looking for somebody, some of the Avengers. And as Thor is getting madder and madder because he's very drunk, he slams his drink down. It creates lightning, and we get the hammer suddenly appearing to Thor. And he's seen it for the first time, apparently. And Blade has found a frozen Captain America. So, like I said, this is going to drag on for 7 issues. And I don't even know why they're doing this, other than it just seems like a very simple story that they're retelling. And plus, now we've got all these other variants going on with this, or these spin-offs from this. We've got Hyperion and Imperial Guard, #1. Peter Parker, the Amazing Shutterbug, #1. Apparently, he's not Spider-Man. Heroes Reborn, Magneto, and Mutant Force, #1. This is all this month, by the way. There will be a second Heroes Reborn on 5/12. So these are coming out like every week. Can that be? Yeah. I am not going to stick around. So you've got one coming out every week, plus all these little spin-offs here. So let's take a look at what else is this comic. We've got some sketches of some of these characters that I believe are going to be in some of the other spin-offs. We've got like Kid Spectrum, and I just think it's going to be all these variants of swapping genders and sexes and races and things like that. You get a little quick palette of what they were going to make the Scarlet Witch, I think she's called the Silver Witch now, look like, just testing it out. So that was kind of interesting. And we get Logan looking like he is in Final Flight, which I believe is a version of Alpha Flight. That I don't know if, I'm assuming there's going to be a story on that too. Kid Spectrum, then they get like Kid whatever, I'm not sure. And a few other things. Here's Aurora in 3 different looks. So that was kind of interesting. Then we get some highlights of things to come. The art in it was very good. It just, the storyline, it just seems kind of a dud to me. Coming up next will be Infinite Destinies. We got some of these things going on. I believe this is a mini series. And also coming out, here's the future covers of some of the Heroes Reborn tie-in stories. Then we get Star Wars, War of the Bounty Hunters #1, No One Steals from Boba Fett. And Amazing Spider-Man #67 by Nick Spencer, The Road to Sinister War starts here. So Sinister War, I think, is a mini series going by Marvel. And our next issue will look like this if you buy the standard cover for Heroes Reborn. That's actually next week. So great cover. Went downhill from that very quickly. I think Blade should be in a detective, definitely some kind of detective superhero story. I don't think this is the story for him. And we'll quickly just so people know where the organs are. I hear that some people complain where are the organs? You'll have your stomach, your pancreas, your liver, your gallbladder, your spleen, and behind that, above the hips, are your two kidneys. You have the heart, you got the brain, you have skin, and your lungs are right here. Okay, so I hope that helps those that were a little bit having trouble with the anatomy of superhero women. And thank you for stopping by and listening to me. This is Indie Comics Jones from the Temple of Tomes. As always, please like, please subscribe, please leave comments, and we'll see you next time at the Temple of Tomes. As always, this is Indie Comics Jones, your favorite comic reviewer, bidding you adieu.